Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, David here. Welcome back to another Atlus and Persona video. This one is, of course, coming back of last week's news. So if you don't know me, name's David. I'm trying to run this YouTube channel to be the #1 source of information for any type of Atlus news, leaks, and rumors. And we covered a leak from last week talking about a Persona 4 remake. The link to that video is in the video description. To make a short story for context for this video, Atlus registered a website domain for p4re.jp, which is exactly what they did 3 months before revealing Persona 3 Reload with p3re.jp. So they registered the website before announcing that Persona 3 Reload was a thing, 3 months before. So last week, they registered the trademark for p4re. So we are getting a Persona 4 remake. And I got fans worried, and I got fans crying, and I got fans happy, I got fans mad. Tons of discussion happened over the weekend about Persona 4 remake, about Persona 1 and 2, where the hell are these games, and of course, the unavoidable discussion about Persona 6. Let's get into it. I have a lot to say. So the first thing that I want to bring up is a tweet that I saw from someone on Twitter called Last Station 6. They said, which deserves the remake more? The game that's older versus the game that people like? Comparing the older games being Persona 1 and Persona 2 duology to the game that people like, Persona 4. Now, one thing's for sure, and a lot of people brought that up in the replies or in my comment section of my previous video, one thing's for sure, a Persona 4 remake is certainly going to do better sales-wise for Atlus. That is undeniable. Why? Because the structure of Persona 6 is Persona 3, is Persona 5. It's what modern Persona fans love. That's what modern Persona fans are used to. Persona 1 and Persona 2, banger games. You can see them on my shelf if you're looking. I have these games, and I love these games quite a bit, especially Persona 2 duology, up there as one of the best Persona games of all time, in my opinion. Persona 4 makes the most sense in a business sense. Now, this person is talking about which deserves the remake more. And you know what? Probably what the other person is saying in the reply at Deku DR2, the game that's not on modern platforms. So Persona 1 and Persona 2 are not playable on any type of modern platforms. If I feel like going back to Persona 2 right now, I am going to pull up my PlayStation Vita or PlayStation Portable to play these games because they're not playable on anything modern or any type of accessible device. I've heard of emulation, I know, but there's no official way to play it. And these games would benefit from a lot of quality of life improvements. Do they need the big remake treatment? Probably not, in my opinion. But there's a lot of fans asking for these games. There's a lot of people who want to play these games for the first time. And yes, there is something that Atlus could do to change these games, make them more accessible and fun for newer fans as well as older fans. I believe that. And last September of 2024, we reported on, I think it was Hashino or Wada talking about the desire from the Atlus team and Persona Studio to bring back Persona 1 and 2, but they don't know how to do them. So I just think it's a matter of timing. Now, when it comes to the Persona 1 and 2 situation, it's also something that Peter Parker, friend of the channel, commented on my last video saying, hey, P4 remake before Persona 1 and 2 remake and Persona 6 is crazy. And we'll get back to Persona 6 in just a second. But the other thing that's crazy about Persona 1 and 2 and the fact that they're remaking 4 before is if we go back to something that I reported on during Persona 25th, if I'm not mistaken. So we're talking years ago. Atlus polled their fans. I don't remember when. I think it was in the Atlus newsletter for Japan. They polled their fans and asked them, hey, y'all, which remake would you like to see the most? And these are the results. Very interesting. Persona 1 tied at the #1 ranking with Persona 2 duology. And then right after we have Persona 1. And right after we have Persona 4. So I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound, y'all. But Japanese Persona fans, they'd rather have Persona 1 and 2 duology remakes before Persona 4. So I think it's normal to feel that way. If you're, like me, a big fan of these games and you want more people to play these games and you see freaking Persona 4 remake about to be announced a year after we got Reload, I understand. I really do understand the feeling. And I'm not mad. I mean, I'll take anything that Atlus does. You know, P4 remake is going to be banger. It's going to be a banger game. Persona 4 Golden is still very good. It feels modern, especially if you play it on modern platform. I spent a few hours playing it on Switch the other day just because I felt like playing Persona 4 on Switch, and goddamn, it feels modern. I could recommend that game to anyone. Hell, if you're interested in playing Persona 4, you don't have to wait for the remake. P4G is probably the best game to start with to get into the Persona franchise in 2025. My opinion, once again. So Persona 1 and 2, more desired for a remake, according to Japanese Persona fans. Interesting. Let's keep going with Persona 1 and 2. Hat Tezzeret commented as well on my last video. Gosh, we just got P3 Reload. We've been waiting for Persona 6 since a long time now, and P1 and 2 have been sitting there waiting for a remake because they would actually deserve one, because P4 is both accessible, smoother to play, and generally much more recent than, well, literally P1 and 2. So once again, totally fair complaints and questions to ask, in my opinion. And I'll be honest, y'all, my opinion on this whole Persona 1 and 2 situation before we move on to Persona 6 is I think Atlus wants to do something with these games. I think they don't know what they need to do with these games, and it's also very dangerous to touch fan classics. If you put a calendar system that makes these games structured like a Persona 3, 4, and 5, you're gonna make older fans angry. And is it really going to click with newer fans? I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of controversy when you bring back Hitler for Persona 2. It's right now, it's, you know, I don't want to get into politics or anything. The timing isn't the best, you know, and you can make something, you can change something to make it work, you know. I think they are scared to do something with Persona 1 and 2. And on the other side, you think about it, y'all, Persona 4, P3RE, it broke sales records. It sold very well. You do what you did with P3RE, you do the exact same thing with P4G, and it's insta success. Probably no controversy either, because pretty much everyone and their mother agrees that Persona 4 Golden is the definitive version of Persona 4. I've seen some videos of people saying the opposite, but again, that's like a minority of the Persona fandom. Most people agree that P4G is a great game. It doesn't need to change much, and that was not the case with P3RE. So P4G is even more likely to succeed than P3 ever was, in my opinion. So of course, if you're Atlus, that's what you're gonna do. All right, I think now's the time, y'all. Persona 6. What the hell's going on with Persona 6? Yu Narukami saying nope. We're gonna get P4RE before. I wouldn't go in expecting Persona 4 Remake to be announced in 3 months, like what happened with P3RE. The fact that people noticed the newly registered website domain for P4RE now does not mean that they're gonna announce it in 3 months. It could be, it could happen, but at this point, I am still thinking that, hey, Persona 6 announced this year and release next year. Persona 4 Remake announced for the 30th anniversary of Persona, which would probably be next year as well. Let's get into what people had to say about this one. At Damagon647 commented on my last video. If we really are getting P4 Remake before P6, then I think the best route to go is Atlus announcing both at the same time, with P4 coming early next year and P6 late next year. I just can't fathom a world existing where we are playing P4 Remake and have no official news for P6. It's been a decade. Yes, it's been a decade. It's been a long time. We've been waiting for Persona 6 for a long time. We're hungry for it and we're ready for it. I think Atlus is ready too. So I don't think this person is necessarily wrong here with what they're saying. Don't forget, y'all. Don't forget one thing that I reported on early in January. Atlus has been doing yearly Persona game releases for almost a decade. The dancing games, the Q games, and then we got a lot of ports for the 25th. We got Royal, we got P5, we got a bunch of spin-off. We get a Persona game every single year. We've been getting a Persona game, I think, since 2017 or 2016, every single year. There's nothing announced for 2025. Hell, I think it's possible that we see, you know, P4 Remake get announced anytime soon, next week, for the Switch 2 Direct. Who knows? Everything's possible. And then we get Persona 4 Remake late this year. But before we get P4RE, we also get a trailer for P6 saying, hey, don't worry, y'all. Next year, for the 30th anniversary of Persona, you'll get your Persona 6. You'll get your green game. But for this year, you get another remake. I think it's possible. A lot of people pointed out another thing. I just bought Persona 4 Golden on modern platforms. I got this comment hundreds of times. I think the problem here is there was no reason for these games to be ported to modern platform this late. I think there probably was plans to remake these titles, so P3 and 4, which is probably the reason why they kept pushing ports to modern platforms. But when they saw how good P4G sold on Steam, they decided to port these games to modern platforms as well, which brought these games to our modern plats in 2023. Way too late. There was no reasons to port these games so late. They should have been there day one for the 25th of Persona back in 2021. We were so hungry for these games. The impact that they had when they came out on modern platforms in 2023 could have been way bigger if they did that in 2021, a year after P4G released on Steam and broke records for like the most concurrent players playing an RPG or a JRPG at this point on Steam. So, mistake from Atlus is how I would explain this. At Sumi also commented on my last video saying, I think both Persona 4 Remake and Persona 6 are being announced this year, but we'll likely get the remake at the end of 2025 or early 2026 because it's probably a reskin of Persona 3 Reload and Persona 6 late 2026. So it's kind of looking like most people are like, okay, we're getting Persona 4 Remake before Persona 6, and that's crazy. That's crazy because before that news that we got last week, I was in the camp that of course a Persona 4 remake is going to happen. I think it's inevitable. But when it comes to Persona 6, they're about to reveal it. So of course the P4 remake is going to release after P6. That's what I used to think. But I'm confused at the moment. And I want to hear what you guys have to say on this one. When is Atlus going to reveal Persona 4 remake? When is Atlus going to reveal Persona 6? And when are they going to release these games? When am I going to play Persona 6? I'm ready, y'all, but I'm also very, very excited for the Switch 2 Direct next week. I am thinking that we're going to get at least one Atlus title ported to Switch 2, or maybe a new Atlus game reveal, Etrian Odyssey, or one of these two games that I talked about today. So unfortunately, no P1 and 2. I think it's still too early for that, sadly. But yeah, if you want to check out the Switch 2 Direct with me and hope for the best, and when it comes to Atlus stuff, I'm going to link my live stream. It's already scheduled. I'll go live an hour early. We'll have fun, and you can count on me to freak out. And if you've been tuning in for my live stream, when Atlus announces something that didn't leak beforehand, I go crazy. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching today's video, y'all. You have a good week, and don't forget to tell me what you think about the subject that we talked about today. Thank you for watching. Bye.